So when you go into Bastar and you live with these Adivasis, yes, they may have a mobile phone and they will be WhatsApping, but they still keep their core values, core relationship with the environment and their lifestyle very barkarar.
Hi, welcome to Outlook Talks with Bharatbala. Bharatbala is a great filmmaker, also a really fun person to talk to. And to just give a little background of how I came to know about Bharatbala is I met him in Hampi and he was there for Outlook Traveler event. And there was this one film we saw which was about this poet from Odisha, Haldhar. And I think that film was so beautifully done that we all, like, I think I too had tears in my eyes and the person next to me also was a little bit crying. And then we had this other story. He showed, I think, 3 films, if I'm not wrong. One was the Kerala one, the other one was the Ramnami community in Chhattisgarh, which we also used for one of our covers in when we looked at who is Ram, basically questioning the identity of Ram because he's sometimes avatar, sometimes God, sometimes human and all of that. And we used his photograph and over the years I've like bumped into him here and there and so yeah. So I just wanted to ask you about your 1,000 movie project, and these are small films where you're picking up all these, like Jejuri you showed me, the one Gulzars, So how do you come upon these ideas and how, how do you shoot them? How do you distill it like to this one narrow thing?
Today's audience, their consumption is that they want to see something quick. So we have to figure out how to create the same impact whether they watch a 40-minute film or they watch this under 10-minute film. So it's just that how do we edit it and present it like that? So nothing is small.
No, in the sense like the duration, because in that much time, you are going through a range of emotions. So, like for example, when I saw that Haldhar film, I was like, I need to meet this poet. You want to meet these people then. So I just wanted to ask you, how did the idea germinate firstly, and how did you go about, and you've written in our issue also about this freedom to create and freedom from genre, freedom from format. How did you kind of...
I think I should go back to my very beginning where when I started, I'm a zoology student. Okay, who wanted to do medicine and couldn't get a medical seat and stumbled upon to become a filmmaker. Now, when I came in, so there was no formal learning. So I just was free. So my only thing was, from the very beginning, collaborate with the best talent for that idea. So it doesn't matter where they are on this planet. I'll go and find the right cinematographer, the right editor, the right composer. So you just bring the right energy into that. So whether it was advertising commercials, and I like very naturalistic environment. I want, in advertising, you try to glamorize everything, right? But I want to glamorize what exists. I don't want to package it and glamorize it. So the real thing, real emotions, right?
And why did you want to tell these stories? That was something that I never kind of...
Yeah, I think...
did you see things somewhere?
No, over the last 30 years, I have traveled the length and breadth of this country. And whenever I meet people, they fascinate me. And that connect with people across, the real heartland of India moves me every time. That honesty, the love, the simplicity, and so much more to learn from them. And that I feel that as a filmmaker, I want to go and tell stories. What stories can I say? I don't want to cook stories. I want to take stories that exist. So that was the opportunity. And said, okay, Abhi, let's just go across India. And it's not some... there's so many stories which move you, which inspire you, and we have never seen it. So for example, there's a film in Tamil Nadu it's a place called Kulasekrapattinam. And there during Dasera, they have this kind of congregation of people where they offer themselves and become like a Kali to get the demon out of them.
Oh,
Now, every man dresses as a woman.
wow.
Okay. Now, it's like mason, farmer, fisherman, everyday people for that 40 days transform themselves into that. Now, that story in Tamil Nadu, people don't know.
Oh,
So, when I made this film, it was an eye opener for them. So, it's about how you connect even within the community itself.
that is
There's so much to showcase. Anyway, it's a long answer I gave you.
I mean, not so great also sometimes. But another thing I wanted to ask you that you wrote in your piece that you had this conversation with your father. Your father was a photographer, and there was this visual thing around you any which way. But you talked about idea. There has to. What is an idea? See, you talked about 2-3 things like emotion, idea. Then obviously, when you make a film, there's always like this whole thing of a plot, narrative, structure, all kinds of things. So how do you wed all of these firstly, or do you do that? I mean, or you don't?
I don't put any form and shape to story. I think every time you go into a story, you're at ground zero.
Yeah.
The story will guide you to how to say it well.
So tell me with an example how the story guided you in one of your films. Maybe if you could talk about, let's say, the one Gulzar.
I'll talk about a feature film of mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I came across an article in a newspaper in Mumbai some 12 years ago.
See, reporters exist.
Yeah, no. There are stories. We just have to keep our eyes open to find them.
Completely. Yeah.
It was such a small article that in Sudan, immigrant workers working in the oil fields in Sudan, Indian immigrant workers, were kidnapped by child soldiers.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah, and then I said, oh my God. Then when I went deeper, one of the characters, or no, I won't say because I'm talking film language, I call them as the characters.
Yeah.
One of the persons in the lead person in the story had a compelling love story. And he did this idea to escape purely because he wanted to come back to meet his love.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to die there. So that moved me to find that story. And so ideas are there in every nook
That
and
phone
corner.
call was like, then you fictionalized it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah, but still, for me, even if I take a creative license,
Yeah,
it has to have 100% honesty.
yeah.
You need to believe, you need to feel that it's real. How will you move me? Only when I feel with that scene. Otherwise, I'm just watching that scene.
Exactly.
I don't want to watch things.
Yeah, you're also doing something which I thought was interesting, was you're also reporting in a way that how we do it, right? Like we go out and find stories and kind of tell them in text format. You're reporting, you're also archiving. So how do you see your role as an archivist in a way where you aim to make 1,000 films, and obviously there are questions about funding. How do you find these stories? Somebody tells you, you read something, how do you kind of decide, okay, I'm going to go do this? And when you know a story, then how do you reach that emotion? Because you talked about emotion. There has to be an emotion in the idea. So you define that idea and the emotion.
Yeah, I think ideas for me is like first find the story, and then within the story you'll find the idea. But I don't know whether idea comes first or story comes first. It just keeps happening. I haven't structured it, thought about it. Ye kaise aata hai, But how do you find the stories? I think today everybody asks me the same question.
Yeah.
So first thing, I went randomly. I said, let me make 50 films. One from Punjab, one from Maharashtra, from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, all these. And do contrasting stories to prove to ourselves and my team, yes, we can do it. Okay. Now, again, another newspaper article. It said, there's a place near Ludhiana called Baini Sahib in Punjab. where every child, today's kid, learns classical music.
Oh.
Now they are, whatever you call it, Gen Z. They are Instagramming, they're doing their, they are always on social media. But every evening, you walk that alley in
And there's like
Beniside,
music.
there is Sangeet coming from every house.
Yeah.
So we went and made a film on that. And it's such a ethereal, beautiful film on music. And just, the next Shreya Ghoshal will come from that land. It's that beauty. So I think like one more, it was 150th year of Mahatma Gandhi, 3 years ago. Okay. So for me, I don't know, because my father was a Gandhian, always want to find and continue this idea and see how relevant it is to times.
Today,
So the thought was, let's find out how many people today are alive and who are very close to Mahatma Gandhi. We found 8 or 9 of them.
Wow.
And can you believe, till then, I didn't know, 2 kilometers away from my house lives V. Kalyanam. He was the last private secretary to Mahatma Gandhi. And he was there with him just few inches away when he was shot. And he lived, so he has all his letters, he has conversations, and he tells in first person. He doesn't call him Mahatma. He says, Gandhi did this. I asked Gandhi like that. So, that truth to be recorded and preserved. And he was 94. And he was living by himself alone as a Gandhian. And he does everything himself. Like gardening, cooking, and then reading, writing, everything he did by himself. And he's no more. So we documented him.
So you archived him.
Yeah, archived him. I think, we all know it's, it is happening, like evolution, change, and now probably it's even faster. But there are certain things which don't die.
Yeah.
It's just that we believe it's gone. So when you go into Bastar and you live with these Adivasis, yes, they may have a mobile phone and they will be WhatsApping, but they still keep their core values, core relationship with the environment and their lifestyle very barkarar.
But is the idea is to just show these traditional things or people and their ways of life? Because there's a lot of other stuff that also happens. Like for instance, if you look at, let's say, Ramnami, which we on the cover, there's also the violence in the name of Ram. So and there's caste, obviously, so there's gender, and there's a parallel narrative which we are obviously, you've written for this Independence Day issue, and that's what we've looked at, this Isaiah Berlin's philosophy thing of negative and positive liberty. You have freedom from and freedom to, but each freedom also comes at some kind of this thing. So there is all this. It's beautiful. Let's stand. People are taking like the Ramnami. They talked about they were not allowed to enter the temples and whatever. So they tattooed the name of Ram on all over their bodies. But then there's the other side also. So is there a conscious decision on your part to not really go into it and just leave it to the point where somebody like me would get more curious and kind of, because that's how we got led into the issue.
See, I leave the judgment to the audience. Okay. If you watch any of our Virtual Bharat films, editorially, it is the story is the editor. I don't try to put and tweak it editorially to make them feel what I want to say. I don't anchor it. Okay. Let's take it Ramnami, where yes, it was a very painful thing. It's about the caste issue. It is about, and it still happens. Okay. But we made them speak. So the first line he says is, "Hame kuch farak nahi padta." So his rebel is present in the way he speaks.
Exactly.
So we don't try to hide anything in the under the carpet. The idea is, I don't make political films.
But everything is so political.
Let it be. Let it be. For example, let's just go back to Vande Mataram. Okay. When I made Vande Mataram, I didn't say, hey, मेरे को patriotism के बारे में बनाना है. Nah, it's just an idea. I wanted to showcase how you can instill a sense of something in subconsciously, a sense of love, sense of pride, just make you feel good. That's it.
Now, I have like two other questions about, so you are an artist and we were bringing out this issue on Alice Munro. I don't know if you know what the controversy that happened and whether art can be separate from the artist. You are an artist and you are making all this. So is your art reflecting who you are, or is it kind of like completely different, like a lot of people would like to also believe?
I think subconsciously, you cannot separate art and artist.
Exactly, yeah.
Because somewhere, how do you shape that art? It is the artist in you that shapes that art. So, जो आपको कहना है, आ जाएंगे.
वो artist भी तो आप, वो आदमी भी तो है ना.
हाँ, फिर so I can't separate this. It's like it's the soul and the form are together. Every story I want to connect with it. They don't need to see me, they don't need to know me, but they know through me my work.
Yeah, because your work has that thing. Yeah. Because at the end of whatever films I have watched, you do have a smile at the end.
Yeah.
In the sense where I was watching that Haldhar film, I've watched it so many times. I've shown it to people. How did you get that idea of this letter from Gulzar? Haldhar mein tumhe khat le. How do you stitch together this kind of, because it was so unusual that Gulzar is writing this letter.
So when the film was edited, I just said, let me go and show it to Gulzar ji.
Yeah.
I love Gulzar ji and he genuinely loves me too.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I played it to him, he says, ये तो बहुत ही बढ़िया है बाला. Yeah. So he said, what do you want? आप मुझसे क्या करवाना चाहते हैं? मैंने कहा नहीं. It just, a poet has to celebrate another poet.
Yeah.
I'm not using him as a celebrity. I said, you celebrate Haldhar. So he said, okay, I'll watch the film again and I'll call you. So next day he called me and said, Bharat, मैं हवलदार को एक खत लिख रहा हूँ. हवलदार, मैं तुझे खत लिख रहा हूँ. So I said, wow. And then he narrated what he is writing in his letter. And the essence of Haldhar is presented in the first 4 lines of Gulzar ji.
Yeah, and how do you like do the funding? Because how do you find the money? Because it requires a lot of.
Yeah, the first 50 films we self-funded it. Okay, then I want to find visionary partners. I am saying this country or people across this world, they are people who have a big heart and believe in the same vision that this is important. So I reached out to Azim Premji Foundation. And they came in first and supported.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then government of Chhattisgarh.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
Yeah, saw the Ramnami film and invited us and said, make 5 films on of your choice. So I chose Bastar because I've never been to Bastar. Today, I think we should, give it to the technology that the accessibility is so easy that people are open to watching new things. See, earlier they didn't have access to it.
That is
now
true.
they have access to. Yeah. And then I think once you should see our comments in the YouTube. 99.99% people, oh my God, I didn't know this. People are watching from different parts and we have a great Spanish following.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know where all, but data shows that we have a good Spanish following. So now we are making these films in multiple languages.
Oh, great.
They're going to take it in Japanese, Spanish, French, German, all of that.
Great. The other thing that you said about why would this person watch this film, I think it also requires a fresh kind of set of eyes. And there was a story that was taught to us in journalism school, So there was this Vietnam War and there were 2 correspondents and both were, I think, named Michael or something, and one was the horticultural reporter and one was the war correspondent. So when the editor sent the email, it wrongly went to the horticulture guy and he went to Vietnam.
Wow.
And he started writing these dispatches from Vietnam, like flowers blooming in wartime, and like he had a completely different way of looking at the war. And those became some of the most beautiful dispatches ever, because sometimes you're covering the same thing over and over again. You look at the obvious like obvious, but you don't really look at. So maybe that's one of the ideas. The other thing is
my father was a war correspondent.
Yeah.
So he went for this, both 69, 71 and all. So one such story is such a film. It still resonates with me. It's like when they crossed into, I think must be Bangladesh. Okay. So he went in a battle tank. Okay. And when they went into the village, the tank, they found there was nobody there, not a soul. Everybody had, ran away from the village. But there was one old 85 or 90-year-old lady who couldn't even stand up. So they left her there and went.
Oh.
So the soldiers from the tank, Indian Army, went down, found a tokri basket, put her inside that, took her in the tank, and went to villages to find their family and said, you take care of it. So at war, imagine.
Yeah, a lot of
amazing story.
Amazing story. Well, I was looking at your books as well. So, I mean, you have Toni Morrison, very vocal about certain things, and you have Margaret Atwood, she was writing speculative fiction, dystopia. So how do you, you are reading dystopia, but you're also looking at utopias, in mini utopias. How do you separate, how do you not be like all gloom and doom like us, everything is like bad or...
No, I think when you meet people, especially when you go and meet people who have lived life, your perspective altogether
changes. There are
changes.
also people who have really struggled in life also.
Yeah, but then there's something you really get enriched with them. And then you know what? They don't ask anything from you.
Yeah,
they are only willing to give it to you. You feel so small. And they say, hey, best is to get from them how they live their life and get that blessing. And I think that's very inspiring.
And the other thing was this art and artists we talked about. But the other big debate in the art world was art for art's sake or art should have a purpose. What do you think it should be?
I think there's nothing wrong to be political.
Exactly.
Because as long as you can present all aspects of politics, leave it to the... Don't trust anything. So, what did you say about...
No, the art for art's sake and art...
for purpose.
Yeah.
See, for me, यार अपना life इतना ही है, ठीक है, उसका कुछ मतलब बनाओ, ठीक है. So, for me, purpose is important.
Yeah.
But art is the vehicle I use. Everything is art.
What is art to you? What is it? I should look at art and feel happy, or should it provoke something?
No, happiness is one aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I also love pathos. I want to feel the emotion like that, because then only I feel complete. If I don't resonate with emotions, if I just be flat with one emotion, it's not working for me. Even anger is critical. Okay.
It is.
Yeah. So I think that piece of art, what it is meant for, it should present its best emotion to the audience, whoever watches.
So, is your technique changing or not changing or evolving into something different as you go along? How do you kind of pick up stories? You're picking up stories also has changed, the ideas have changed. How are you looking to tell? Because I saw that one Gulzar story, and then at the end of it you mentioned Forest Rights Act. In that film, it's spectacularly shot, but I didn't understand, in the sense, the way, I would, the film moves you, right? So Haldhar moved me, this one did not. So is it how do you pick up in terms of what is the reaction that you're looking at, and also are your techniques changing, the kind of stories you're picking up changing?
I don't seek reactions because sometimes I can't put masala into the film.
No, that is
the film speaks.
Of course, yeah.
But what was interesting for me from one Gulzar is, I didn't know that community of Muslims are vegetarians.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to harm the environment. They don't want to take the animals away. So their love for nature reflected in their lifestyle. And also their difficulty of
getting a permit.
Now, what they have lived for generations, suddenly they have to seek permit.
Yeah.
And they're not being given permit. So they are like homeless within their home.
Completely,
Yeah. So
see, it's political in a way that it at least shows it.
The truth cannot be hidden.
Completely, yeah.
That far we will go. For example, there is a film called Manu Master. Okay. Now, when I saw Manu Master, he was a phenomenal, body structure, an elderly man, and photographically was beautiful. And his postures, he's a Bharatanatyam guru. His postures were very unique. Well, we went to film him. But we didn't know in detail that Manu Master is Mohammad Munaf.
Ah.
So he comes again, but that's not something we keep highlighting.
No.
The story will tell that is the truth. We presented it.
Yeah.
And I think we'll not hide away from it. But what did we go for that story? It's the art of Manu Master. And that we presented it very uniquely.
It was great talking to you, and thank you for writing for us. And you wanted to show...
No, I want to show you. So this is so you won't know what an audio cassette is now,
Of
right?
course, I mean, I know.
No, not you.
Yeah,
This generation will not know. So this is, say, now probably 30 years old. This was the first audio cassette.
I remember rewind karo, fast forward karo, घिस भी जाता था. You know, you wanted about one particular song.
So
Nicely designed also. You have a recorder also to play?
I'll have to find one recorder. But this is even more interesting. So आपने तो LP देखा होगा घर में. So we made an LP of Vande Mataram and Jana Gana Mana.
This one?
Yeah.
You see this very nicely.
But this is like,
When was this shot?
This is in Chennai.
Yeah?
Outside near Mahabalipuram.
So nice. When was this?
97.
Oh.
And that's Rahman. Yeah.
Younger.
So, for me, these are all exciting things, what is important, I would say, is like art, artists, creations, right? This is now 28 years old, Vande Mataram, or 29 years old, right? It still resonates with today's audience. So for me, art, creativity is something has to be timeless. Any piece of work I do.
That is true. So that stands the test of time.
Yeah.
And this is the...
And this, we did Jana Gana Mana. We got 50 renditions of the national anthem.
Oh.
From, say, there's a solo version of Bhupen Hazarika. Bhimsen Joshi. Oh my God. Bhimsen Joshi. And Pandit Shivkumar Sharma, Pandit Jasraj, everybody. And even Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore's voice of rendition. We got it from the National Archives. Now, you want some gossip, right? Politics.
No, not
नहीं, मैं बताता हूँ.
But I would say no.
नहीं, but ये हमने दिल से बनाया, ठीक है? हमको नहीं पता था कि national anthem has to be sung in 52 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, that is the rule book according to the Home Ministry. But we went and said, hey, let's create a musical rendition. India is rich with both classical music and folk. And so we said, let's document and preserve it for posterity, right? So when I go and film with Bhimsen Joshi, and he sings the national anthem, हम नहीं उनको कह सकते sing in 52 seconds.
Obviously.
वो फील्ड में गाना गाया.
तो कैसे रुकेगा?
कैसे रुकेगा? पंडित जसराज हो, बालामुरली कृष्णा, एसपी बालासुब्रमण्यम, हरिहरन, जो भी है, they all like Hari Prasad Chaurasa ji, everybody, Pandit Shivkumar Sharma, Jagjit Singh, you name it, or Shobha Gortu ji. So it was a very precious collection, including Lata ji, Asha ji, everybody. So somebody filed a case against us on PIL, some couple of them in the court to say, but anyway, the government of the day respected what we did. And this album was released at the Central Hall of Parliament. And I took all these singers to the Parliament and make them sing the national anthem to celebrate the 50th year of India's Republic.
And did they sing in 52 seconds or more?
No.
Apna.
Free, everybody. And they have recognized this as an official anthem. And lastly, Dr. Kalam, when he was president, every time it's a protocol that wherever he goes, they have to play the national anthem. He will only he has loaded in his computer all these renditions, and he will play one of this every time.
How nice. Timeless, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are all, you didn't think of this will all happen, but that makes you feel, that you did something interesting. That's it.
Are you still going to make feature film? You think so?
Yes,
Or-
I'm, but again, feature film which has some unique story, obviously.
Yeah.
But for me, my human angle is very critical.
Yeah.
And if it can be based on something like a true story and then presented and, with great actors and characters.
Are you working on one now? Or?
Yes,
Yeah?
it should, maybe next year
Yeah?
I'll go. Yeah, I'm still
And still working on the other stuff, that the 1,000. How many of the 1,000 you've completed now?
अभी तक हमारे पास we have filmed 110
Wow.
and we have published about 32 or something, and more so will come.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you're still in the process of finding
Oh my God.
more stories. And do you ask people to send stories? People just
Today
send you
people
stories?
are sending stories to
Sending
us.
stories
Yeah.
to you. And then you get letters and you read newspapers in the morning looking for stories.
You
How
know
does it
what?
work?
I just every day, wherever I look around, I walk, I read, I see, my mind is tuned to only find stories.
You get tired? No.
No.
No?
For me, I'm like a kid. I'm like a kid. I just get excited when I find a story. Yeah.
Have you been to this Sonpur Mela ever?
We're going.
Yeah,
This year,
November. November.
Because that's the biggest Hathi Mela.
It's the biggest cattle fair.
Yeah. So I want to take it from the Hathi point of view, because that's amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
So instead of buying a new Range Rover, I'll get a Hathi to Mumbai.
You could actually do that. There was a guy who came.
But imagine, you're going on top of a Hathi instead of some Range Rover, you'll be most attracted.
Yeah, but then how in Bombay, how?
Anyway, you're going that speed only.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Bharatbala ji,
Chinki,
for
and
talking
wonderful
to us.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you.